First of all, good afternoon, and thank you so much for being here with us at the Forttuna Global Excellence Awards. To start off with, could you please just introduce yourself and tell us about what you do and how you got there on your professional journey?
I'm a professor of neuroscience and business. I used to be a computer hacker when I was a young boy, and at some point in my career as a hacker, I met a neuroscientist who also is a Nobel laureate, but first and foremost, I would say a scientist. And he said, if you know how to break into black boxes and understand how they operate from the outside as a hacker, maybe you should go and study the most curious black box, which is our brain, and essentially pivoted me into neuroscience.
Fantastic. And you didn't tell us your name. Tell us your name.
Sorry, my name is Moran Cerf, and I'm a professor of neuroscience and business at Columbia University.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And tell me next, how do you think you're impacting the broader landscape of your industry, which is a curious industry?
So I think there are two industries that I kind of sit in between, which is neuroscience and business.
Yeah.
That's a very small type of industry, and it has very few people, and I'm among them. I think what I do is I bridge the lens of science and what we know of the brain with how people in this room, like businessmen and businesswomen, leaders of companies, can actually use that in the real world. And the likes of Silicon Valley's Elon Musk and Sam Altman are interested in doing that, and the likes of Google, DeepMind, and the likes of those are also interested in that. So having a person who sits with one leg in the business school and one leg in the neuroscience world is a necessary entity.
It's really fascinating, absolutely fascinating topic. We might have to talk about this later. So looking at the brain side of things, what, in your opinion, the three key things that make a great leader? Because this should be an interesting, different perspective to everybody else.
So we have a class that I teach two leaders, usually senior leaders of countries rather than business leaders, but I think it's not much different. And I would say that the thing that I think every person should have is the ability to be curious and ask the right questions. That is true for any leader. You don't know everything yourself, but if you have a team that you can ask the right question and get the right answer, you will be in a good position. The second one, and I think maybe the most important one, is being able to tell good stories. As in, leaders aren't necessarily the ones who would build everything, but they need to be the people that everyone rallies around and kind of believes the vision. So I think having a storyteller and a person who's able to really kind of be not a windmill, but a compass, and kind of see where it's going and tell everyone a story is the necessary and second ingredient. And the third one, I think, is empathy. You need to understand every person in their own language. And in many ways, I think everyone needs to feel that you speak to them rather than to everyone.
Empathy, I think there's a lot of lacking in that these days. Emotional intelligence, we need to do better on that front.
It's hard. It's of the three, I think it's one of the hardest to achieve. If you don't have naturally, it's hard to learn. We don't have a way to teach that. So I don't blame necessarily those people, and especially that leaders are kind of rewarded throughout their career for something else, and only when they become the leader, they need to, in a way, kind of pivot to saying, okay, now my job isn't to almost like elbow everyone else and climb up, but the opposite. Rally everyone behind the same idea. And that's, I think, a different thing that you have to learn.
Amazing to hear. And finally, what do you think of the Forttuna Global Excellence Awards and its initiative?
So I'll tell you, I've been a scientist for now almost 20 years. And I used to live in Hollywood, and I used to be invited to all kinds of ceremonies that celebrate celebrities, actors, actresses. I've been a little bit kind of tangentially involved in the sports world. There's no chance in the world that you learn about a sport like elite athlete only when they get the. But in science, it's not that case. In science, there's sometimes where you get the Nobel Prize, and that's the first time people heard your name. I think that Forttuna, or an event like that, that kind of rewards scientists and doctors and physicians and people who really are trying to do, is necessary and rare. And I think I liked it a lot.
I love that answer. That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being here with us today. And we hope you enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.